Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 27 of the Survival Project. Today, I'm joined by Diego, an elite middle distance runner whose journey is anything but straightforward. From competing at a high level in college and chasing Olympic dreams to battling relentless injuries, severe gut issues, and moments where everything just seems like it was falling apart. This is a story of resilience and serious grit. Diego opens up about what it's like to lose your identity as an athlete, to question everything that you thought you wanted, and how hitting rock bottom can sometimes be the very thing that actually puts you on the right path. This is a conversation about performance, pressure, chronic illness, and ultimately finding freedom and letting go. Let's get into it. So Diego, welcome to the Survival Project. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate being able to share my story and also get to talk to you.
Yeah, and what a story it is. Do you want to dive into it a little bit for us?
Yeah, started off in college. I never thought I'd run in college, but after doing pretty well in high school and having a lot of success with my high school coach, Coach Blood, as we call him, I was able to get a scholarship to Tech. And that was an amazing journey within itself. I have lifelong friends from there, and I still keep in touch with a lot of them. But in that time, I was able to do very well to find success there as well. But it wasn't only success. There was a lot of hard times. Even stretching back before I got into college, I got bit by a tick and I got Lyme's disease and I had a fever of 107. I was in the ER for a while. I just remember going into college being like, how am I ever gonna like run? Well, I've been off for like 2 months and my coach took me in and everything went pretty well. But then getting into tech, I went from 20 miles a week in high school to 60, and that was a big jump within itself. But also the level of training is a lot higher, obviously, and so there had to be a lot of changes to my routine, how I took care of my body. It took time and patience because I got a lot of injuries when I was in college, not because of the training, but because of, there's a lot of factors. So myself, the training, how I'm taking care of myself, the school, the scheduling, say some of the like worst ones, I guess, I had a hernia mesh repair at one point. So, and I ran with that for maybe 6, 7 months. And I thought I was just sore and the trainers kind of were looking at it, but the MRIs weren't showing because I think it was the wrong angle. It just felt like I would like cough and have this terrible pain. Just kept running on it. And I got put on all kinds of numbing and pills for inflammation to treat whatever was going on. And I remember I made it all the like 7 months of just racing. I ran some of my PRs actually, which was funny. I know I still can't, like, I don't know how that happened, but like
Pain is
later on,
motivation.
yeah, I guess if I knew what was going on, I probably wouldn't have. Um, yeah, it was just like a thing of when I finished up the season, I ran at nationals, and I did a couple races afterwards. Took 2 weeks off, came off the medicines or the drugs or whatever I was on, and I went for a run. I was like, something is very wrong with me. Got another MRI. I guess they hit the right angle, and they're like, yeah, your abdomen and your hip flexor just tore, your intestines, whatever has been poking out for like months. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, cause I thought I was weak. I thought I was just in my mind. I thought I was just like, oh, I'm just like soft. And so that was like a huge relief for me. But then also having to do the surgery was kind of like, oh crap. And at that time, the head coach at Virginia Tech, Ben Thomas, he actually got recruited to Oregon. So it was just like a bunch of factors at once. Just a lot of little injuries and that was like maybe my junior year, end of my junior year. But even freshman year, sophomore year, I had like the Lyme disease thing that I was battling still. It's not really chronic, but I could tell it was definitely getting used to the mileage a little harder. Had a bad bike accident, broke my arm, post-hip tendonitis. Like I don't know, maybe there might be some videos online, but of me in a race with just like a cast and like my face is all messed up and I'm just like racing. And I'm like, what was I doing? So like constantly through my career, at least in college, it was just like Diego gets beat up and he still trains and he gets beat up and he trains. And it's just like that constant ongoing thing. And it was always so stressful for me to try to compete just healthy. But in a way, it was almost a blessing because like having something happen to me, it's like I had to focus on this thing, breaking my arm or the hernia or whatever, to focus on instead of being so worried about like, oh, I'm nervous about the race. I was like, I'm just thankful to get to the line. Like at least like health like that is just I'm so lucky to be able to do that. And so yeah, I got the surgery for that hernia. I think I kind of rushed the return to running a bit quick because I got the surgery maybe August, and then maybe by like October, I was racing. Like I had like my
No
abdomen.
stopping you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I probably should have been stopped, but but yeah, like it was crazy. Like after the surgery, I remember I couldn't even go to the bathroom. You push like to like take a dump.
Of
I
course,
couldn't
yeah.
even feel anything. I couldn't feel my abdomen. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna be because they had to cut everything to like reattach it. So I knew that was going to be a journey within itself. And I guess it kind of healed not great because a year later they were doing another MRI scan to see like how the healing went. And my pelvis had two stress fractures in it, like not reactions, fractures.
Bro.
So like, I know, yeah. And the scary thing about that is if you take a wrong hit or a fall, like that's your whole ass pelvis, dude. Like I don't even know what would happen then.
Jeez, no
Yeah,
messing. That
so
would really put a stop to a lot of things. Pelvis issues on top of
maybe for a
everything
bit.
experienced.
Yeah, I don't know actually.
Limits in the body,
But
but no limits in the mind.
yeah, I would just be crawling. Um, yeah, that return was almost worse than the surgery because they told me I could not do anything for 5 months straight, like no push-ups, no limit walking, and that killed me because I'm someone who wants to go, go, go. And they did 2 rounds of PRPs. So basically, I had to lay butt naked on the table. My balls were just covered by a little cloth, and they had to stick a. First, they had to get all the blood out to centrifuge it. Then they injected that back in, like all around my private parts, all the way to the bone. Oh my gosh, it was, and they had to do 16 shots around. So imagine lifting your balls up and just going like it, like oh my god, it was so bad.
Oh, that's
So
torture.
16 numbing shots and 16 PRP shots. I was like, it was terrible. It was so terrible. And then I had to come back and do it again in a few months, and I was like really questioning, like, do I even want to do this again? And I did go back, but I made my coach come with me. It wasn't Ben Thomas, it was the assistant coach at the time, and he was just there like, "Oh my," like staring, and I was just like, "Yeah, dude, this is pretty bad."
Things are bad
So,
with the first time you experience it, but knowing you have to go back for a second round of something you've just felt was torture. That's
God, it was so torture. And the worst part was, I don't know what to call them. They're in their residency or postdocs or something, so they were learning, and he was like guiding them, and they were like taking forever. And then he saw I was in really bad pain, so he's like, "Okay, I'll just take over." And he just said, and then he was done. But my gosh, it's yeah. And I was just like, man, I better love running if I'm gonna do this like again. So yeah, that was about my senior year. I think August again was when I first started training, not having run for like 5, 6 months, and we didn't even know if I was gonna run it cross country, which would have been 2, 3 months later on. I remember that season I was like just barely training. I did some workouts with the girls. We get to ACCs, and I had done one race at pre nats in like the B race just to like test something out. It was pretty hard and it was tough. We get to ACCs and it was at home, and I really, really wanted to win. Some of our alumni came out to support, and the race started. And I just worked my way up from the back, and I just kept pushing the entire way. And I leaned against 2 other guys, and I didn't realize I had gotten 7th, which is the highest finish ever for like a middle distance guy at Tech. Our guy won it, so he destroyed the field, but I got 2nd, which was awesome for the team. Previously, I would be getting like in the 20s, so I was just like shocked at that. Like kind of like a little step back and some healing kind of gave me the ability to push harder, but also just like the mindset of really wanting that. And we didn't win, unfortunately, as a team, but that kind of had like gave way to like, wow, I'm doing something I haven't done before, even though I've been through all this crap. And so indoor also went super well. I had some injuries here and there, pulled a hamstring, whatever, but nothing like crazy that would set me back. And we're at indoor nationals, and the day of the race, or sorry, the night before, I roll the crap out of my ankle, and it's like bruised and purple. And I'm just like the one time I'm freaking healthy. And so the next morning, I'm like getting up, my ankle's like purple, and my hamstring is like kind of half pulled from the week before. And COVID canceled everything. Like, I'm like, my gosh, I'm kind of thankful, but also so pissed right now. Like, what?
what the
But
fuck
like, it
else
took
can happen? Yeah.
yeah, so it was maybe that was in that so I was here for maybe that was maybe my 5th year. So of course 5 years of like working to find health and to find like that path because everything's different in college, and I just get that setback, and I was so thankful but also just so upset at the same time. But I think it was a good thing because it gave me time to come back and kind of reflect on things, and it kind of gave me a lot of space from the pressure of always having to compete. Like in college, like if you're doing football, one season a year, there's other stuff going on. But for running your cross country, indoor track, and outdoor track, there's no breaks. And then when you finish outdoor, it's like maybe August. And then guess what? Cross country starting again. And so it's like 5 years of just like this pressure. And it's hard for those athletes because I don't think they really get like some space between seasons. But at the same time, you get a lot of seasons. You get 12 seasons. If you didn't have a good cross country, guess what? You have indoor and outdoor that year. But if you had let's pretend you're in football and you didn't have a great season, you got to wait a whole year for the next one. And that's kind of what happened to me. So they gave me back, I thought I had nothing, and I was like just kind of devastated because I really wanted to run professional. Because some of the older guys had gone to OT Oregon Track Club, and I really looked up to them, and I wanted to join them out there. But since my seasons were canceled, that was my last year. I thought I had nothing left. And then eventually they gave me back outdoor, but for the next year. So I had to wait an entire year to race outdoor. But I kind of took my time. I enjoyed cross country and indoor track, and it just made me so hungry for outdoor. And I did really well. I made the final at nationals, but again, people in the final, I think I just started to doubt myself because it had been 6 years or so I'd been in college. And with all the setbacks, it just felt like all the pressure was kind of coming to like this point where I had to have a really great race. There wasn't like all these opportunities because of all the injuries. And so it was funny. I was the last one in every single round all the way to the final. Like, it's like I just believed in myself enough to make it, and then I'd be like, "Oh my god, I have to keep going, but thank you, I'm going still." And then, the final was just some beasts. Cole Hawker won. I mean, he's gold medalist. Then you have Nagoose, who was what, bronze medalist, and then you have, like, who else is in that? Waleed, Kipsang, I believe, Mario, Sam Tanner. Like, there was just some, oh my gosh, like, it was a crazy, crazy, probably one of the best 1500s, I'd say, ever. So it was an honor to be part of that field, and I got 7th, which was really good. But I think, tired of the battling back and forth, trying to make it, but also being like scared to make it because there was all these opportunities if I did. And the trials were that year too. But I remember I had to do a race to qualify for the trials. I just finished my season. I felt a little burnt out. I had PR'd, I think, 3 times. I'd set the school record 3 times, which was awesome. But I think I had personally stopped believing in myself. Like, I can't do any better than this. I already did so much this season. And so to have another race to PR again, to like then go to the trials just seemed like a lot mentally. And I think I kind of gave up on myself. So I went back home, and some of the other athletes also decided, because I think it's just the season was just so weird being back from COVID. And I don't regret that. I think I made the choices I did, and came back, and I just started working in a lab here at Virginia Tech, and I was working as an assistant coach as well, and just kind of waiting for a pro contract or anything. And there wasn't really a lot on the board. OTC was kind of disbanding. Running as a professional, it was a lot harder back then, and even now it's still hard. It's just very different from, I guess, other sports. It's not like you have all these solid teams and you can like kind of reach out and choose. It's like you have this team, but you have to know this person and they're only coaching 4 people. If you know them and you can get in. But if you don't, then it's going to be very hard. You have to be like a national champ for them to want you. And then it's like they might want you, but then there's no one paying for you to be out there but you. So might have to max out a credit card. And it's just like, and I know many of my former teammates, they like max out credit cards, or people, their girlfriend would pay like a bunch of money like for them, which they would pay back. But it's like hard. You had to bet on yourself a lot. And so, yeah, I was trying to find that perfect balance, but it was hard. And my parents also, like, I love them to death, but they're more reasonable, like logical, I guess. Yeah, they never really wanted me to run or go pro, although they've supported me all the way every time I did choose to do so. But they like to like, oh, just get an office job, get solid income and everything. And to be fair, they're right. I did not make a lot of money as a professional athlete. And my sisters, who just went to the working force, they did, and they were fine. They have cars that they bought themselves. But I think I was just kind of waiting around for maybe 6 months or so, and I got offered a PhD spot in Neurolab. I could get money for this, and I could just train here. I don't know how much time that's going to take from running, but I'd be willing to do that. I was talking to an agent, Stephen Hawes, who the older guys had talked to when they went to pro to OTC. And he hadn't really found anything, And then eventually he had a group that he was forming in Flagstaff, Arizona, Mission Run Dark Sky. It's a long title. I can't really remember it. They say like Under Armour's Mission Run Dark Sky and something. I don't know. They're working on it, but he offered to fly me out there, and I was just like, heck yeah, let's go. So I flew out there. I was there for a week, and I think my first run was with Pat Casey, who's an assistant coach there now. Used to run on OTC, and Centrowitz, who, I'm from Maryland. So like I always looked up to Centro because he was like awesome Maryland guy, won gold in the Olympics. And that was my first run there on like a beautiful forest trail in the middle of the mountains at altitude. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm coming here. So came back here, packed up my suitcases, said bye to my girlfriend, and Pretty much flew out there, lived with some teammates in like a little trailer house for a bit, and then I moved to someone else's house, and I just kind of kept moving around until I found like my own place to live. That was it's weird. It's like one of the most coolest, awesome opportunities in my life, but also one of the hardest. I guess it made me not rethink, but like the dream I had. I mean, I've always wanted to do something in running. And when I was younger in high school, we watched the Prefontaine movies. I don't know if you're familiar with those. Yeah, so those were awesome. They really inspired me. That inspiration led me into college and led me to being a pro. Right now, I recognize that I always just wanted to make a difference in running. That meant with other people, inspiring others, helping make change in the sport itself. But then at some point along the way, I think I got confused with I need a brand, I need to run fast, and those two dreams kind of got mixed. It ended up being what I was chasing probably late in college, which is why I felt all this pressure on me to have to perform and run this fast time to have this great race so then this brand will sign me so then I can run for this brand and then I run faster. Then it's like, that's awesome and all, but there's always going to be someone doing that every single year in multiple events, men and women. So to me, I guess I'll get into the journey and flag, but like that's something I kind of hold with myself now. I look back and I don't think about. But yeah, flag was awesome. It was really hard because it was almost like high school going from 20 miles a week to 60. You're going from 60, 70 to maybe 70, 80 in Flagstaff, but also every single person there is a pro runner. You're at 7,200 feet of altitude. I am like over 2,000 miles, I think, away from home. It was cool, but it was just so tough as well. And I had one of my close teammates actually, Fitz Sam. He was from Virginia Tech. He was out there with me as well, and he made it like really he's like a brother to me, and it was good having him there. And just in all honesty, I love the team to death. I think it's an awesome thing they got going on, but it was very new. And I think Under Armour as a brand was trying to figure out how to start a running group and to how to run or no pun intended, but how to run a running group, how to organize it. And so when I got there, I think it was largely in part because a lot of the super shoes had just come out for Nike, the like kind of the year before for the trials. And I kind of heard that Under Armour was like letting their athletes use them, the other brands, because they didn't have one of their own. But then like I think like a week out, they took that back and said like, no, if you use other brands, your contract's voided, which is fair because it's not your brand. But at the same time, I think a lot of people were again, it's this pressure thing, it's this brand thing, it's this money and whatever. And they're like, if I don't like do well, then I won't get a contract or whatever. And so a lot of people just jumped ship. They left a brand that was kind of sponsoring and helping them out. For some of them, they actually made the Olympic team. So, would they have made it without it? You never know. But it was a very confusing time for the brand. And because of that, a lot of people jumped ship and there was a lot of open spots. And I think that's how my contract kind of came to be. And so I came in and I love the group I was with, but there's a lot of like older people and a lot of younger people. And I think the older ones were kind of like also again, like the super shoes thing had just happened and people were trying to jumping ship, kind of not. And so like a year later, almost the entire roster changed again. I was still there and my friend Fitz was still there, but from year to year, at least 5 people would like leave and then maybe like 3 or 4 would join. So it was just like a weird thing. But I've always been someone who's just like, I stick where I am, even if I'm like banged up, hurt, whatever. And I stuck it out. And I did get some injuries up there, but I persevered through. And like, meanwhile, with all of this, probably when I was there, year and a half, 2 years in, I think someone swam in one of the open lakes and contracted some parasite. They were roommates with someone on the team. And I think that person on the team was in a relationship with someone who was my roommate also on the team. And so, and I could kind of pinpoint each of those people having like a bad stomach thing. Eventually, I think I shared the same cherry juice as my roommate. And I just started having really bad stomach stuff, and I had had, like, so-so stomach things in the past, but again, it was from, like, in college, we'd go do, like, a 13-mile hill workout, be dead, and then drink unflavored whey protein, and then, like, of course, your stomach is gonna freaking hurt, like, what? So and, like, we always had jokes about, like, shitting our pants and stuff and drinking this freaking whey, but this was, like, a whole new level. It was just, like, my stomach was, like, just, like, not working right, like, it was bloating and cramping, and just it felt like stuff was running through me. I was bleeding out into the toilet, like, I just see, like, kinda drops of blood, I joked about it at first, and then I was like 2 weeks, and I was like, "Okay, this is not good. This is, like, kind of concerning."
Yeah.
And around that time, I think I went to the ER because I was trying to see a gastroenterologist, but they wouldn't see me for the next available appointment was 7 months away, and I was like, "I'm gonna lose all my blood by then. What the heck?" So, went to the ER just to get somebody to see me. They did like a parasite screening and everything. Nothing really showed up, but it had been kind of a while. So they prescribed me some antiparasitics and I took those and then it felt like things kind of got worse in a different way. So I don't know if those medications, because they're kind of aggressive in some way, mixed with whatever else was going on in my body, altitude training, I don't know, just kind of really destroyed something in the stomach. I was just in a really bad spot. I was already struggling with the training because in Flagstaff, the altitude was just so hard to get used to. Pretty much most of my teammates, I'd say, had gone up to altitude multiple times in college, maybe even high school, and that was like my first time ever at altitude. Um, and then a lot of the foreigners, they would on our team, they would come up, be there for maybe like a 2-month stint, and then go to their country's championships. But meanwhile, I'd be up there consistently for like 4 or 5 months. So I'm just getting like hammered. And then going also from lower mileage, more speed to kind of like high mileage, more endurance stuff, almost like marathon training, I guess. Not because we had marathoners that are doing a lot more, but the training I was doing would be like my version of like marathon training. And so all these factors played into a very unique blend of something that was ended in with like the stomach stuff. And so I happened to be visiting family in Argentina, like let's say 4 months after like the initial onset of symptoms. And my dad's a kind of a big doctor in the US. And so back in Argentina, a lot of people know him because of that and respect him. He was able to get me in to see a GI specialist within like 2 days, and I got a colonoscopy. It was kinda funny because like, it was different, but it was almost like I walked in and it was like a little, like, office, like, there was, like, those, like, pull-out metal drawers, and I'm just, like, laying on the bed there, like, about to be put to sleep in, like, in a little office, like, thing, but I guess that's how they did it there. Um, and, like, I know Spanish, but, like, my Spanish wasn't great, and I hadn't practiced in a while, and then a guy just puts a mask on me, and then, like, terrible English accent, he's like, "Have pretty dreams," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh," as I'm, like, laying on my side, and they're gonna put something on my butt. So I was just like, "Okay, cool, cool." Yeah, but, you gotta do what you gotta do. They pretty much said, like, "Yeah, you got, like, a ton of ulcers," and the guy said, "You actually kind of look like someone who's, celiac. We'll get the blood work done, but you should probably stay away from gluten." And I was like, damn, of course I come to Argentina where there's all these croissants and everything, and I can't eat any of it. So of course I go home and like I pretty much the entire trip there I'm eating just like chicken and rice. It was just like
No, no
it was so
empanadas.
tough.
No.
Yeah, yeah. So I started eating gluten free and lo and behold, like I started feeling a little bit of like the brain fog, the low energy levels kind of go away. I guess like this actually might have been a thing. Then the blood work came back. They're like, no, like you can eat gluten. So then I think I tried and the blood kind of it got worse. It's not like I was cured, but it got like worse immediately. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm not
Hmm.
doing this then. And so I just kind of stuck with that for a long time. I saw the GI eventually in the US when I got back. But he said same thing. He's like, you can eat gluten. I tried again. No. So I got off the gluten. Then I got put on mesalamine or mesalanine. I don't know if you've ever been on that.
No, I haven't, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's just like these big bottles of pills, big ass thick pills too. It's like taking a bunch of I guess aspirins or talent, something like that. But you gotta take like a ton a day, and each bottle is like $300. So it was just, and I was still like, I'd be taking a shit, and it wouldn't be good. Like it's something was still off about it. There's sometimes be blood, and I was like, "Mom, this isn't really doing much, you know."
Hmm.
But I continued that for like maybe like a year and a half. And so I just was battling back and forth with this thing while training. And it was stressful because I had a 3-year contract. But when I moved out there, they gave me the first year right away. That way I could get get settled. And so I kind of had 2 years. And then if I did good, they'd give me an option year, a fourth year. So I kind of had 2 years to get like to figure everything out. But with the bleeding and then the injuries and moving around, by the time I actually got settled into like my own place, like 2 years was kind of up, and I was now dealing with this bleeding thing, and I hadn't really run any fast times yet. I hadn't run all my times were fast times were from college. I hadn't run anything substantial. It was getting really hard to figure it out. But the good thing is like me staying there and not deciding to leave, I think started to grow a culture of the team that people not leaving. Some of my older teammates from OTC actually ended up joining the team, and they're really good, and they helped to bring the level of training and everything up. So I'm glad I hung around because I think it was helpful in creating that team out there. And I got to meet a lot of great people, awesome people. There was a point where for my option year, they did not sign me again. So I pretty much had no salary at this point, but I was like, I don't care. I'm still going to stay out here and train. And so one of my close friends, Abdi, he let me stay in his attic and I would kind of like cook for him and stuff, but he didn't make me pay. He was just such a kind soul, you know. He really helped me out there. I couldn't pay rent, so I had to move all my stuff in my apartment into a storage unit. It's like making it harder and harder to succeed. It's like, oh, you're already not running fast? Well, and you're bleeding out of your ass? Okay, well, now you're not going to have any money. Like, you're going to have to figure out what you're doing the next year. You have to move your apartment out by yourself into a storage unit, and you got to go live in someone's attic on a mattress on the, like a little mattress on the floor, and then try to succeed. So I'm like, okay. And because I don't know, I didn't want to give up. And
Of
so I kept
course,
showing
yeah.
up with a good attitude. And I learned to just kind of like, it was nice to also not own a lot, have everything in a storage unit. It was kind of freeing in a way. And around that point, I actually was going to Argentina because I'm a dual citizen to try to make their team and everything. But I ran into some complications down there. It was kind of hard trying to figure out the politics. And because again, I was just a fresh citizen, and also the Olympics were coming up, so I think it was like not the right timing. But I still wanted to go there to say hi to family. But when I was down there, I actually got salmonella poisoning, I believe, and that was like and so, yeah, like, I don't know, like, I ate some sandwich from some street vendor that I guess it had been sitting out. I'm just so dumb sometimes, I can really cannot believe it. Like, oh my gosh, I woke up at, like, 2 in the morning, just diarrhea, straight diarrhea, diarrhea, and this is I'm already having the blood and everything, and it's not stopping, like, I literally have to keep getting up, and I have, like, this terrible headache, and that's going all the way till 6 in the morning. Then my girlfriend are, like, checking on me, and I, like, cannot like, if I take a sip of water, it comes out as throw up or diarrhea immediately, and so I go out on the roof, I'm laying out in the sun, and the problem is we have to leave that Airbnb and fly to the South within a couple hours, and so I'm, like, actually dying. It is, like, so painful, and so we get in the car, we're headed out towards the airport, and I'm like, I can't do this," and I'm pretty tough. I had a hernia for, like my intestines were coming out for 6 months, and I was, like, doing that. And I was just like, I need to go to the hospital. Like, I'm going to die. And so eventually my friend's like, oh my gosh, I have a whole flight scheduled and a car to rent and a place down in the South. Like, if I don't go, then it's going to be gone. So he kind of decides to go to the airport. The guy takes us back into the city. And the problem is with my girlfriend, she does not speak Spanish. So, and it's not like a dangerous place, but you don't want to be taken advantage of. And so we go to like some public hospital and we have all these suitcases and she's like this tiny little girl. She can take care of herself, but like still it doesn't make me feel good, you know.
Yeah, of
And I'm
course, of
like on a
course.
trash can outside and I'm just trying to say like I'm from the United States, like, and eventually they let me in, but they won't let her in. So she's just staying there with like four big suitcases, and I'm like, oh my god, please,
Yeah.
I'm praying to God, don't let anything happen to her. I
Yeah.
go
Oh
into the
my
back
god.
room on this metal table, and I can't even think. Like I'm just so out of it. There's a guy on the metal table right next to me, it's just covered in like bloody scabs, and I'm like, there's like dirt on my metal table too. I'm like brushing it off while I'm like in the fetal position. Then some nurse is coming in saying something, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what you're saying. She turns me around, injects me in the butt with something, and then's like, you got to go. And I'm like, what? What did you just do to me? And so because I can't even like think about Spanish at that point. So then I leave, but then I feel like everything tighten up all of a sudden. Later on, I think I found out that they gave me an antipsychotic because of the chemical pathways that stops nausea. And so I'm like,
What?
but not throwing up, but my body is in so much pain. And I'm just like a super soldier kind of sick walking like this. But I'm like, so then we get into the freaking car, and they take us to the airport, and the whole time I'm like, "Please don't let me through." Like the TSA people at the ticket, and they're like, "Is he okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not okay. Don't let me fly." But and my girlfriend doesn't know what to do because my friend is telling us, "Come through. The flight's still here." And so eventually we get on the plane. And like I remember, I was like leaning on a pillar, just falling asleep. My consciousness was just leaving my body. Like it just felt like I was floating in the airport. Like I felt like I was actually just having like a near death experience. Like so, made the flight, got all the way. God, it was so awful. I can't even. It was probably the worst thing I've ever done in my life. Like just like flying already is sometimes so uncomfortable, but when you have like imagine like the worst food poisoning ever in your life while you're already shitting blood. So we get to the South and it was a beautiful trip over there, and I'm so thankful that my friend, scheduled it all. But I think after that, my symptoms got so much worse just because I don't even know what happened, and I don't think whatever went on was treated. Then eventually in May, I get back to Flagstaff and I go to race, and I run the worst races of my life. But at the same time, like I remember that I would just show like I would do the warm up, but every like 5 minutes I'd stop, like have to run to the bathroom, and then just like a bunch of blood and like tissue would come out, and I just stare at it and flush, go back to the running, and then again 5 minutes later, literally, I could hear them calling my race, and I was just in the bathroom. I think this was at the California meet. It looks like someone had just like sliced their arm, just like a bunch of blood had fallen in the toilet, and like I'm just like staring at that. Now I'm looking back on it, I'm like, I'm so dumb, but I think I was working through it. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's an excuse, but
Yeah, you have
like
to exist in the moment to just persevere and get through it.
yeah, you don't know until you know, you know? And I think, looking back, I was just like, "Oh my gosh, like, that was so bad." Like, I cannot believe I just do that, and I remember I'd get to the line, I'd be, like, so dizzy out of it, and also just nervous. I'd be like, "Yeah, this is the one where I run really fast and get the contract back." Like, "What?" And so, I think by my last race, which was Portland Track Fest, I just told everyone in the race, "Just go in front of me, I'm not even gonna" like, but I knew I was gonna try to give it my all, but the race started, the first 100 meters felt like impossible, and it was just so tough because in that race, actually, there was a Virginia Tech kid that broke my school record that I had gotten back in the day. Ben Thomas, who had gone to Oregon, he was back at Virginia Tech coaching now, and he was at that meet. And so it was the slowest race I ever ran. My school record was gone, taken by the guy in that race while I'm like shitting blood before and after. And I was just like, I think like the universe is trying to tell me something, you know?
Oh my God.
And also, like, what made everything so much worse is that 2 months before that race, one of the previous races in the US, like, my dad had to go in for some medical stuff, and they were figuring it out, and then it turns out he had cancer, and then I was just like, "So, here I am, I'm making no money, I'm living in someone's attic, I have to sublease my apartment, just shitting blood all the time, I can't even train, I'm not running fast at all, I'm running slower than I ever have in my life. What is the progress I'm making?" And also the hard thing is my family never got the chance to visit me in Flagstaff because it was just like they had jobs and there was a lot going on, so they didn't really have the time to come visit me. My friends did it. My partner did like a few times and she loved it, but I did go home every now and then, but it was very infrequent. So I missed out on a lot of birthdays. And at that point, my dad has cancer and he's not doing well. And all this is going on. I'm like, why am I out here? This is like the most selfish thing. If I'm making progress towards something, then it's something he's proud of, that there's a purpose. But I was like, there's not really purpose anymore here. And as those races went on, I'm bleeding, running slow, and I can't, it's just in the back of my mind, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I just gonna keep doing this when it sucks also. It sucks ass. But then my dad, like, am I just wasting time that I could have had with my dad? Um, and then so after that race, I talked to Ben Thomas because he was there. And he was like, "How are things?" And I'm like, "Well, not great, as you can see." Like, but then I just said, like, "Ben, would you coach me again? Because like I just don't believe in what I'm doing." And I still wasn't really putting together I needed to heal. I kept thinking about training. And he's like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And he was already giving me ideas about altitude. He's like, "I don't think middle distance runners really need altitude. Like, if anything, just like 4,000, 5,000 feet, maybe every now and then." So I talked to my girlfriend who was also at that race. She just hit a PR. She's doing awesome, which was cool to see. But we talked a lot, and then it was like this, I'm moving back. So packed everything up into a U-Haul, drove from Flagstaff to Oklahoma. We picked her up, and then her dad was there with his brother. We put all her stuff in a horse trailer, and then we drove from Oklahoma all the way back to Virginia. Beautiful trip too. I think doing road trips is a good thing for the mind. Everyone should like try to do one if they have the time and resources to do one. But being back here was good. It took me maybe like 2 months to shake this. Like, I didn't want to move though. Like, I wanted to keep being out there and being pro, and it took like 2 months to kind of like go and being like, because we live on this farm with like a hill like this, and it overlooks this mountain, and there's donkeys and cows, and it's beautiful. And it took me like 2 months to be like to open my eyes and be like, wow, like this is awesome. Like, it's also not as high altitude. It's like 2,000 something. So around that time is when Ben's athlete won gold at the Olympics in the event I'm trying to run. And so I'm like, you have the best coach in the world. You got a indoor track and outdoor track, a Olympic weight room. You get people to train with. Like you get to live with your partner because I was gonna make my partner come to Flagstaff with me. I don't think she was gonna have a contract out there or a coach, and she was gonna go do it. And with all those factors, it just didn't feel right. And like as a man, I wanted to, put her first and put my family first, and I put my stuff ahead for too long. But I was almost like upset inside of from doing that, I'm giving up on my dream. But then when I started to realize like I'm in the best place possible, it's like, oh, and I started to let go of this like idea I needed to that this is the wrong place. This was the right place. And so I started training here. We got here in like August. Around January, February, and it was going pretty well. Like I hit a good race. Stomach stuff was still not great. Got norovirus in like January, February, and it messed me up so bad. It wasn't even like a question of if I ate food and had to go to the bath. I had to go to the bathroom like every 20 to 30 minutes, even in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep. I had to just get up and just blood and tissue. And it was like horrendous. Like that thing just tore through me. And I think just all the compounding factors just made it like the worst it's ever been. And I remember one morning after being up all night, I messaged the coach, I can't show up to Comfy Steady. And he kind of knew what was going on, but didn't really fully understand it until I explained it in an email. And he's like, don't do anything until you figure this out. No, nothing hard until you figure this out. And I kind of was like in the lab because I was also working a job while training because I needed to provide for myself out here. And it was this wave of relief. Like I almost needed a figure to tell me to stop and to heal. Because like for some reason I was too stupid to think of it on my own. But from that, I went to get a colonoscopy. That was my third colonoscopy, I believe. And they're like, "You are so full of ulcers. Like you have so many ulcers. Like you are bleeding out. Like my iron or ferritin, whatever level it was in Flagstaff was like maybe 260, and here it was like 58, which is not anemic, but it's for me that drop of like 200. I remember I was like passing out in the lab. I could barely like stand. I'd have to like go home. Yeah, like it was tough, and I remember I was still trying to find out how to run fast and get a contract. Like I was still stuck in that mind state, like which is ridiculous. And so once I started to heal, because I did this colonoscopy, they said you have so many ulcers. They prescribed me prednisone, like cortisol. Like you're kind of putting cortisol in your body, and it kind of like elevates your heart rate. It makes you more like fight or flight mode, but you heal quicker and you stop bleeding. So that was going to heal up the ulcers while they were gonna get me on a, biologic called Entyvio, and I was gonna have to get infusions, like, once a week, and then every 2, and then 3 weeks, and then eventually be every 2 months. But I'm very, like, non-medication. I hate even taking, like, ibuprofen, if I feel pain. So, just the fact of that, and I didn't like how it was gonna change me or if it would change me. Because also way back in Flagstaff, I've been on, like, antidepressants and everything just because it was a tough period, and it was a cool experience to experience, what is an antidepressant and I went on a couple of different ones, and at a certain point, I remember, sorry to go back, but I just this is important too. I would get to the start line, I feel like absolutely nothing, and it was so hard to start the race and even feel, like, motivated, and, Noah Lyles, a really good sprinter, he also had, like, a similar journey, and I remember I read an article on him saying that he ended up getting off of them because he couldn't feel like he wanted to fight in a race, and so I read that and I was like, "Yeah, I'm done with this." Because also I'd hear music, it just didn't sound like anything to me, like, I just be
Yeah.
like, "Eh." Like, I felt nothing from anything, and it was just so tough, and so I decided to come off of it, which was also very, very difficult, but afterwards, being in that state of mind, I felt like all the emotions again. It was like, "Wow, I think I'd rather feel these peaks and valleys, these ups and downs than nothing," because, the nothing is there was a piece to it, and I think it was good that I chose to do it for a bit 'cause I got to experience that peace to then, like, choose to go back now being stronger, having that time in peace, But I remember how those things had changed me so much, and then so fast forward all the way to the biologics, I was like, "I don't know what this is gonna do to me. I don't know how it's gonna feel," and I was just so torn 'cause I didn't wanna do this. I also didn't wanna stop running and training, but, like, I kinda was forced to. Like, I kind of was in that position where I started taking the prednisone, and I remember I just took 2 weeks of, like, just nothing, and just going for walks, and it was so hard not, like, try to train or think about training, and then I remember I was out on, there's, like, a beautiful pond over there and in where we live, and there's an awesome trail system, I was just walking around and I was just kind of like, allowing myself to finally be like, yeah, you might not run again. And I just got so my brain just didn't even want to think about it. It's like, no, I'm gonna race, I'm gonna make the Olympics. And it's like, no, no, like stop, think about it. Like, what if you just never raced again like that? And it was just it was so hard to even reach that. And I think it took like another week of being outside again in that same spot. I got to, and I like just started crying because I was just like, it was like letting it go, and because I wanted it so bad in my life, and like to let it go. Damn, like what am I without this? Like, what do I do? And I think if you talk to a lot of pro runners, that this is like something that's so deep that they might not even think about it themselves. And they might not even, come across it until they're done racing, like way down the road, and they have to like kind of acknowledge what am I besides this? And it was just like a really deep, hard moment, and it was I was sad for, like, a few days, but, I think I started just going for an easy run again just because I like to exercise, not just training, just exercise, and I think that run was just, like I was running, I just saw the sun setting over, like, the fields, and it was just started, like, just sprinting, and I just started laughing. I was like, "When have I enjoyed a run like that?" Where there's just so much freedom in that run. And I just was like, "That was so cool," and then it kinda came back to me, "Oh, I can still do the running thing that I remember you wanted to run to inspire people. It was never about the brand," and so, like, that's how I got to that whole thing, and God, I never would've chose to go that way, but it was like I was gonna die or have to do that, and little by little, I started, like, being really thankful just to run, and, I 'cause the prednisone too, it's like for those of you have you ever been on it?
But yeah, I've been on a few times.
It's like an espresso shot all day, every day for months, like, it doesn't stop at night, in the morning,
No, no,
and
no.
so
You're just on,
oh my
man.
gosh. So, in that time, I took advantage of it and just started running up mountains around here, which was fun 'cause I love running up mountains. You get to the top, you look at the view, go back down, and there's a lot of purpose in that, like, I felt more fulfilled running up a mountain than I did training and then racing and then seeing nothing come out of it, and, now I'm back home, I'm seeing my dad more, he's doing well now, he's doing a lot better. I get to visit my family every now and then because 'cause they're only 4 hours away, but yeah, like, I slowly realized, like, "Oh gosh, like, this is the life I always wanted, but I never would've actually done this for some reason." I don't know, the things that we really want, we never do, and for some reason, I was blessed enough to be able to be put in it. And so, yeah, I just started doing the prednisone runs and whatever, and eventually the biologics start date was coming up, and I was just so torn about it. And I remember talking to my girlfriend, I just like I really did not want to do it, and I was praying on it one night, and I realized that like me starting this was me saying like that I'm done with running now. And it's hard for me to say that because it felt like if I said that, it meant forever, which in that time I think it did mean that, but now it just meant for that period of time, which I now understand. But I think by, like, saying yes to biologics, I knew I couldn't consistently train. I knew I couldn't, like, schedule a 40-hour work week and, like, training at, like, a professional level and, like, trying to get these infusions too, and so it's just like, "Nope, you're gonna work because you have to, and you're gonna get infusions because you have to, and you're gonna run when you can to enjoy it," and, like, lift and stuff, to, keep up with like the body's routine, whatever. And so I did that, and I said yes to the biologics, and little by little, they started helping like a lot. And it was a weird thing too, like the Intevio particularly. Like I just noticed every time I got one, I kind of feel like this, almost like a drunk feeling, like really kind of like removed from things. And kind of some anxiety also, I think, and I'm not sure if that's, like, myself thinking about it or just the drug itself, but it would pass within a week, and I think the drug would settle in, and then by the time I got the next one 2 months later, it would be like I kind of feel, like, freshen out of it, and then you get it, and kinda, like, slow your system down again, and so, yeah, I just got used to it for, like, a year, and I just did that, and I enjoyed life. I cheered my girlfriend on, and she had an awesome season as a pro runner, her 1st season. She had a coach. Now she has a coach. Now she has a sponsor, which is my coach, same sponsor as well. She got the sponsor first, actually, and, they're pro bike and run in Pittsburgh. It's like a little running biking store, and they don't it's like with Under Armour, I only had 1 shoe option. They give every shoe option.
Ah,
So
brilliant.
it's all I can wear whatever I want now, which is super cool because I think that was a stressful thing too, is when you could only wear 1 piece of
Yeah.
clothing, you had to be like, "Okay, okay, I'm good. I can go out in public." So, yeah, it felt, like, very good to just kinda let go of, like, whatever I thought I needed to be and support others, just enjoy life. And then recently, I had my 4th colonoscopy, where I don't know. I guess I wasn't really thinking about it. I just thought like, yeah, I'm just gonna be in this state of like having to whatever do this forever for the rest of my life. And they told me like that you're in complete remission. Like not only are you in complete remission, but your colon looks like the greatest we've ever like you are like the epitome of health. Like if we could take this picture and like put it for people to we would have this picture, like your asshole and colon all look great, you know? And he gave me a sheet and he like took the time to explain everything in it. And I was just kind of like I don't know. I was just kind of like, I mean, I just had the colonoscopy, so I was out of it, obviously. But I was just like, wow, like, I never really thought about being healed. I guess I didn't think about that being a stopping point. And so he gave me the paper. I took it home. I wrote, "Thank God I'm healed" on it. And I just kind of put it on the wall. And then like within like about a week, I feel like my stomach, like just like everything here, all the whatever I've been holding here, just started to like kind of loosen up, and I felt like I could like breathe better again, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh." It took me a week. I've been healed, but just seeing I had to see physical proof for it to, like for me to believe it internally, and, like, now I really feel like I'm healed, and then just, like, ever since then, I was just like, "I guess I can maybe start going back to the track and doing some workouts." I'm just gonna start, like, slow, and I started doing some workouts with my girlfriend, and then in the indoor track season, I just started, I got off the prednisone, um, at some point. God, that I know you know how that was. That was tough. That was really tough to get off it as well.
The crash, yeah.
I was vomiting and having headaches, and, that was way months before, but that was a whole journey in itself too, and but yeah, just to be healed with just this Entyvio thing every 2 months and nothing else. I mean, my diet is very, very clean now, like, I want to personally, but I also feel like that's a huge help to all this, which helps my training too. But yeah, in indoor, I just started training a little by little, and it was hard to even step to the line. Like, I think I was, like, very scared and nervous to put myself out there, but for the first time, I feel like I really wasn't doing it for a brand or a time. Like, I didn't really care about that. I think it was more so just nervous that, like, what if you're just not fast? What if you're not like good at, you know? And it was like hard to even like step to the line. And so I paced a couple of races to also just get used to the track again. Then I raced a 3K with some of the college kids out here, which I got to know over this past season. They're all awesome. I'm really blessed to be able to train with them. And yeah, I won and got close to my PR, and I was like, all right, that's a good step. But then in my brain, I'm like, what if it's a fluke? You know, you just like question yourself. Like it's just always like that. And so later at the end of the season, there was a mile, which is like my main race, and I was just so nervous, so freaking nervous about that. I also paced the race at JDL, which I was also nervous for because the Dark Sky team was out there, and I saw them all, and I was so good to see them. Like I had missed them so much, and I paced the race and did really well. And I think my assistant coach, who had been helping me through the whole process in Flagstaff, Pat, he saw that I was running well, and I think to him it was just like it's good to see you, man, like running and get like and like running like that, like that's how you should be, even though it's not with us. I don't know, that meant like so much to me, and to also see my teammates doing well. I don't know, it was a cool experience. But yeah, that mile race also went very well, and I was just kind of like, wow, I didn't think I'd be back here. I don't know. It's just there's just so much there. Like I didn't think I'd ever do it again, and here I am slowly doing it in a different way. But yeah, now I'm back to racing. I'm planning on racing in Argentina to try to make the national team in August, and I'm terrified, nervous about that. But I think that's always how it is with me. So, but yeah, I'm training healthy and like just the smartest I've ever trained. I'm very focused on the recovery. I'm not doing too much. In the indoor season, I barely did any. I restrained myself so much because I didn't want to like get hurt or whatever. And seeing that I did well, it's like, okay, now outdoor I can add some more mileage and everything. That's kind of been the journey back to here. I probably missed some stories that would take, 10 minutes to say each one, but um it's been a while just with like the stomach stuff, but how I don't know, like in a weird way, I feel like I'm very not many people are as lucky as I am to have had that journey, if that makes sense. I know it sucked ass a lot of the time, but I think it was very like it like helped me be on the right track for me that I was always supposed to take, like to stay true to myself in my training. I don't think a lot of many people get that, or I don't know. I don't know, something like that.
There's such beauty in the journey that you shared there because you had so many obstacles and they just kept coming and coming and coming. And we
Yeah.
all have obstacles in everything we want to achieve in life, but to have health obstacles thrown down on top of you, like becoming a high performance athlete, is so many obstacles on its own. and then you had your health just keep getting in the way of everything you wanted to achieve. And obviously, when you are a high performer like you, high achiever, we identify as a high achiever because that's who we want to be. That's what we want to be, a success. And for these obstacles to keep getting in your way to be who you wanted to be, such a tough thing to experience, both physically and mentally. But to hear how you've come through it and you've reached a level of peace in your own mind and can look back in your story and say, and see the beauty in it and see the man it has made you, is a fantastic thing to be able to say. And so much credit to you, and inspiring for me to see that even the way you speak, you can see the peace in your eyes and the peace in your words. Like, it's after everything that you've gone through and all the goals that you had that unfortunately didn't come to fruition, but now your goals have changed. You see a different path and you accept it, and you see the peace and see the beauty in where you are at the moment. So thank you so much for sharing that, man. I was glued to every word that was coming out of your mouth. It was some journey.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. You didn't want to live it for nothing. No, but yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, I feel like I still have many journeys to live, but by no means am I like a Zen master on the track. I'm still nervous and figuring a lot of stuff out. But I think there's a lot of peace, like you said, from what I've been through, because to know that I'm in the best spot I've ever been in my life right now. And I had, like, I don't know, it's just like, it was always going to be that way. God was not going to let me stray or go any other place or whatever. And knowing that, I mean, I feel like I still get worried about the day-to-day things. And I'm like, every now and then I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I ended up here. So I'm completely fine. Cause I was living in someone's attic at one point and bleeding out of my ass, but it was to make me come here because I wouldn't have any other way. So in some ways, like, it kind of does bring me peace sometimes to remember that, even though I get so caught up in the day-to-day things that it's like that whole journey will be, I'll forget about it for the day and I'll be like, oh, I'm so stressed about this work that I have to get done. Like,
Completely. And I suppose we can fight so hard to stay on a path that maybe isn't for us, and we can become so laser focused on achieving something that we kind of, as you said, the fog is there, and then it takes something
Yeah.
else to happen for the fog to dissipate so we can actually see what truly matters. And it sounds like you really have some exceptional people behind you too. You really have a good network of people that you've met, and family and your girlfriend and everything been so supportive. So you really have a lot of amazing things in your life, despite the real hardship you've had to go through. Like,
Yeah.
very, very, very tough. Some different things that I kind of want to kind of jump into. We talked a lot about identity, I suppose, and identity lost through chronic illness. You said before that you felt free in an interview that I read with you when you thought you'd never race again. Can you dive into that a little bit first, kind of the freedom that you experienced when that moment of clarity appeared, I suppose?
The moments would come in different parts, but then the parts would kind of add to like this whole thing growing. Like I said, I was at that pond, and I remember I was walking up this hill that we used to do hill reps on, like in college. That's the one that we'd do the hill workout, the 13 miles, then drink the unflavored whey, and then shit ourselves in the whatever. But it was still, it's a beautiful place because I had such memories of like all these guys. It's not like war, but it's like you have to put your body through a hurt, and you're doing it with a bunch of other guys. And so you kind of like made this strong connection with the group of like fighting through things. And it was just so different because I'm there years later by myself. No one's there. We don't really I think we do go to the hills, not as much anymore, but I'm just walking up it. And it's kind of like a very reflective moment. Like I used to like fly up this thing, and here I am walking, pretty much not even sure if like my racing is like, would I have ever thought I'd be here? Did I ever think about that? And so just thinking like, yeah, you might be done with this. You're never gonna have that moment in college, running with those guys again. It was like just so hard because I really think back and I love that memory. But at the same time, that memory is a memory because it happened. It's not gonna happen again like that. And I think something kind of clicked in that way, being like, oh, like I'm not trying to chase the things from the past anymore. And I could just run up this thing with friends if I wanted to in the future, if I wanted to. And that had absolutely no connection to going to some race and racing super fast and getting a contract from like Nike. That is nothing, no connection at all. But for some reason, we've connected it so much. And I think those contracts may actually come because you're just in the moment doing those things you love. And it is, track and field's a different world now, but I think it's gonna, correct itself down the road. But yeah, that freedom and understanding that, like, oh my gosh, like you said, I'm like laser focused on something that doesn't really, that's not really your calling. You're gonna keep getting obstacles in the way because it's like the path is trying to show you this is not your path. Remember, and then you're just like climbing over like a freaking wall, and then you're like, man, this is really hard. It's like, yeah, because you're not supposed to be here. And I think that's what was kind of happening. And then later on, that field I was running by, just like that was also a run we used to do. where one of our guys in the team would run up this little hill and we'd sing the Rocky song. It was just like goofy stuff
Love
we
it.
used to do together. And so like I love running because I love hanging out with my friends, you know? And but I also did love having something that you could see if you were getting better at every day.
Yeah.
I love the competitiveness of it. I love like sweating and doing something hard and feeling like you're growing your body. And I loved actually like seeing the time and being like, you know, like I'm progressing, whether this time was slower today and I understand why I did it, or if it's faster and I'm like, okay, I'm doing something right. I loved all of that. And again, none of it had anything to do with like brand or money or anything. And also in that all those years, I wasn't making a lot of money and my parents helped them out. Thank you, parents, with like financial stuff. But I also realized that my money is not my own. Like it's when I kind of let go trying to make it, like I would always be taken care of, not just by my parents. Somehow some check or something would come in the mail. Someone would give me some like every time. And so it was like the universe was like, now that I was going the right way, all the obstacles were gone. And instead, in fact, it was like those little speedways in the airports that kind of make you go faster, like in
Yeah.
Mario Kart, the rainbow things. It was kind of like I'd be given something here and there, and it'd be like the universe, God would be helping me out. So kind of because I money can be finances are so stressful, but going on the path that you feel like called to, even if it's what you think you don't want to, it'll like help you out. And so, yeah, that freedom of just being on that path that was next to that field, I just was sprinting up it. And usually when you're in heavy training, it's like, I have this tomorrow. I can't run faster or I can't go up this
Yeah.
hill or whatever. Like you're limiting yourself to all these things. And I hated limiting running because I love running. One of my close friends on the team, Jack Joyce, he was always just like a goofy guy. He's an awesome dude, but he was very different from others. So we would like just be on a drive somewhere and he'd stop the car. I'm like, let's go run on this road. And he'd sprint. He's like, sprint, woo! And we just start sprinting. And I'd be like, all right, let's go walk back to the car. I love that he was just so different though, because he's right. Like, why don't we do things like that? You know, why don't we just go for a sprint or a run? Because like, that's what I love. You know, we're meant to just be free.
Yeah.
But the problem is when we want to achieve something, like in training, you do kind of have to commit to a discipline. And there's a balance to that, which I'm learning now as I'm getting back into training. But there's a balance to like the training where you don't want to be so focused on the training all the time. You want to have some freedom where you can do something fun. And our coach does occasionally try to work that in. So when I met him back in the day at Portland Track Fest, trying to come back to Virginia, he was like, "Yeah, we don't really do long runs anymore. Sometimes we'll go like on a long bike ride." And he's like, "Usually outside." I'm like, "Why outside?" He's like, "Because it's more fun." And that was just like, oh my gosh, I've been missing that for years, you know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
forgot about fun. Like, and so I would say that moment when I was running like near that field, it was fun because I just felt like I wanted to sprint and it was a beautiful scene. And there's like some deer sprinting as like running in the distance too. And yeah, I don't know, just that freedom is just so different from I think the mindset that a lot of pro athletes, and I don't know all of them, you know, that they have an approach to the sport where they're just so focused on, and it's hard because if you think your well-being is tied to your performance because of the money you get from performing, and a lot of contracts have this thing where it's like if you don't make a world team this year, then you'll be like brought down like 10% or 20 or something like that. You know, that's tough. That's like a lot of pressure on you and I don't think the best performances are gonna come from pressure. I think they're gonna come from freedom. The problem is with freedom is that you might not have focus or discipline, and then that you have too much freedom, people just start not caring. But, you know, I think there's a balance to that because you can kind of make checks with having a person to person being like, "Hey, where are you at?" to make sure they're focused on the thing still. And if they're not, then, you know, maybe they don't wanna be doing that, and then they wanna be free somewhere else. I just think, like, the pro mindset nowadays is, uh tough because of how the sport is growing and it's in a growth period. Like being at JDL when I was at, there was all these pros there, and I think so many of them were just, I could tell, were just like in their heads, just, like
Yeah.
so focused. You know, I'm more on the line, like, oh my God, I hope I don't mess this up. But like, and, I don't know. So I can't really say that I'm like got the perfect idea or way of thinking, but um, I just see the journey I've been through and the freedom it's given me. And I sometimes see others and I'm like, man, I wish they could kind of share some of this so like they could to see what it would be like for them to feel free and just for them to feel it for a bit to have that like lightening of the load, I guess.
And I think when we get into Anton, it's for the love of the game. And then unfortunately, the kind of label of achievement that can come when we become good at something, we want to progress and get better at it. And that can kind of put the blinkers on a little bit and you forget why you actually got
Yeah.
into the love of it to start off with. But yeah, it's amazing insight to get. I've never been a high performer in any sport ever, but in my career previously, I was a hairdresser and I won a lot of awards in the early days of my career. And then unfortunately, with my own health problems, I just kept missing work. I couldn't enter more competitions. I couldn't build up my profile. And I had identified myself as this award-winning hairdresser. And when I suddenly couldn't
Right.
be that man anymore, I had a complete identity crisis. I was like, who am I going to be if I can't be that? And when I removed I suppose, the label I had put on myself, and now I'm in a much more peaceful place, and I feel like I've actually aligned with what I actually want to achieve. Doors are opening constantly, whereas before I was fighting to be that award-winning hairdresser, and it was nothing but obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. When you find something that is more peaceful and more aligned with, I suppose, maybe your purpose, or it's kind of a funny one. I do
Yeah.
look for divine inspiration a lot, and I feel I did get divine inspiration to kind of go down the path that I've gone down, and it just gives you that little bit of peace, and it feels like you're in a very similar situation where that peace has kind of come, and the knowledge and the freedom of just being able to be yourself and enjoy the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. It's like we're each on this little track. Just take the theme of whatever it is and just replace it with someone else. But it's the same exact thing over and over. And
Yeah.
there's probably other hairdressers that are so into the hairdressing thing that they're like too locked in. And you're like, oh, I wish I could help them. It's so weird. I only say running because I've been around running my whole life, and the only people I know are mostly runners. I mean, I know some other people, but it's just like it also allows you to just to realize there's more people in this world that know nothing about hairdressing or nothing about running. It's so like, and that's the thing. Some of the craziest points was when I would like talk to someone and bring up like the previous gold medal winner in my event or the last gold medal winner, and they're like, they didn't really know them. They didn't know them at all, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like people in our sport would die for this thing that this is the only focus they have, but it's like no one even cares or knows about it at all.
Yeah.
Like really, so I don't
We
know,
get so
but it's
consumed with our own bubble. Like, yeah.
oh my gosh, yeah, you think like the entire world is like I'm gonna go race and everyone's just like, what is Diego gonna do today? No, no one gives a crap. Like even people in the same race don't give a crap because they're nervous about their own race. No one cares.
Completely.
Like I mean, people care and they want to support you, but no one's just like gonna be like, oh my god, he did bad. Like let me like no one is thinking like that. And like you said, it's like a freedom though. It's like once you let go of that label, you realize you can still be an amazing hairdresser if you want to. You can enjoy it now. You can run for fun if you want to, but you can also become all these other things that you might have been called to be that you never would have been if you were just stuck in that bubble.
Completely. Constantly trying to jump over obstacles that might get out of your way if you just went down a different avenue, Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been absolutely fantastic speaking to you. I just want to dive into a little bit of your, I suppose, plans for the future. I know you're pursuing a PhD, and forgive me if I get this wrong, molecular and cell biology. Is that correct?
Pretty much. I mean, it keeps changing around, so it does.
Do you think the Olympics might be a long-term goal for you, or do you think that kind of door has maybe closed for the moment? What are your kind of plans, both professionally and academically?
Yeah, I guess the athletics first. I mean, I really do want to make the Olympics. I think that would just be the coolest story ever to just have gone through what have gone through. And, there's a point being on the pro team where, like, on any team, I guess, where you can see, like, someone doing really bad and you're like, oh, that guy or that girl, whatever. And, like, kind of like doubting in them. And I understand the doubt because, by all means, I was not doing well. But to see that and to see them because my that coach, Stephen Hawes, he told me that, like, you can't succeed in the sport without, like, a brand or sponsor, and I told him that's not true, you don't know that, and he, like, tried to argue, I'm like, "No, you don't, like, you don't know. Someone could do." Because 'cause I'm really hard-headed, I have to speak up. I got a mouth on me, as my mom says, but I really did believe I was like, "That's you don't know that." Like, if someone does it, they've done, And inside, I feel like I've been wanting to prove not prove him wrong to, like, be like, "Ha ha," but, like, to show him that there is a greater scope of potential for athletes than you imagined. Just like your worldview is bigger than you ever thought. That's just a cool thing to have. And I think at one point I was doing it because I was angry because I felt like I wanted to blame all these people, but like I don't have any blame anymore. I do think certain parts of the system could work better for future people, but regardless of that, just for myself, it was all meant to be that way. And I needed to be here where I am today. And the only way I could have gotten to here is if the journey was as it was. And so, like, I think at some point making the Olympics was kind of to do like kind of more of like an angst to want to do it, but now it's more of like a freedom. And I still admit there is some there, and maybe that is fuel for my fire, but I do want to make it for that story because to see people from my teammates from the US to see like, wow, like he went from like this to that. Like truly anything is possible. Like that
Mm.
should have not been possible in our worldview. It has to be this way. And to have that for my teammates, other runners, like my parents, even, I think they've always wanted me to go the safe route. There was one time we went back to Maryland because they had like some all decade team dinner type thing. And I got some honors, but nothing like crazy. And we're just sitting in the crowd. And then they had one special award that was the athlete of the decade for the men and the women. And they were like saying this guy has range from the 4 to the 5 to the 8 or to the 2 mile and blah blah blah. And then I realized like they were saying me, and then like they called me up, and I was just caught off guard. I didn't realize like they kind of like surprised me. And I think being up there, my parents, they just want me to just work a job and get paid, and nothing really crazy comes from it. But my mom and dad like were tearing up, and they're very logical. Like my mom was MIT, my dad Harvard. They're just they have emotions, but they're more
Yeah.
like work past them type thing. I remember I went up to them after, and they were like tearing up, not really crying, but they're like, "We're very humbled right now," and that meant so much to me, like more than most things in my life. To have like your parents who you kind of know and understand, to see them in a different light. God, that was awesome. And just I think to like be able to just represent Argentina, like where they're from, at any level, really, just like at a national level at the Olympics would be amazing. And I'm still praying on that, so hopefully it happens. But I think I'd love to see that like kind of new light in them, because our lives are just like repetitive patterns over and over as we get older, and we don't really grow from that. When we're younger, we have new memories and experiences all the time. And that's what makes everything so like lively and new. And to give them a new experience that they wouldn't have had, like a really new one, I think would be an awesome gift to my parents, who've done way more than a parent should do for me. And so I would really want to do the Olympics, and so that is on my plan. But I'm kind of focused on the smaller goals. Is just racing some good times this year, to just start to like get back in the rhythm of racing, and go to some meets down in Argentina in August, September. Definitely practice my Spanish because it needs some working on. If I'm gonna represent the country, I'm not gonna speak in English. I'm gonna speak in Spanish. But yeah, the Olympics is definitely still a goal, but it's in a different way now, which I think is awesome. There's this year, and then further down the road, like I'd love to get into like longer distances, maybe even the marathon. So maybe I could make it again, or make a different type of team. So yeah, the athletic stuff is still on the board. Additionally, I want to make it because whenever I've been down in Argentina, I'll go out for a run in the morning, expecting to be the first one out. Because like in the US, you like at least here, I'll go out and there'll be like one kind of old guy like jogging, maybe someone walking their dog. I get out, it'd be like a group of old guys cycling by on like nice cycles, a group of like women walking by, some kids on a walk with their dad or mom, families, people running. Everyone here is so active. Like, oh my gosh, the runners this country could produce could be awesome. I believe that Argentina could have like some of the best endurance runners in the world. And I really want people to be inspired in Argentina to go try running. And even though there's not a lot of money in it, like maybe to further down the road create some programs or some races to help athletes like run more, some camps or something, come to the US for college and race here, because there's like obviously the US has a very solid track and field program. I want to kind of inspire Argentina as a whole as well. So that's kind of like the dreams for athletics. For academics, I'm still kind of bouncing around a couple ideas. So currently I work in a neuroscience lab. We look at
Perfect.
traumatic brain injuries, and I'm a research assistant. So I'm not in school, but I'm getting paid to kind of help out with projects. So I'm learning all the little skills and learning just about the brain in general. Because funding's tight, I might have to move to another lab, but it's a blessing because this lab is a virology lab, and it's actually like fascinating to learn about virology, especially with COVID having happened and everything. I think it's a very big area right now. And I also have a friend who's and a professor. He's Argentinian, so he's a doctor of veterinary medicine. He has like a clinic, and he's more focused on like cattle diseases, infections, and everything. And so I'm kind of gaining this big, broad understanding of the brain, viruses, vaccines, and I'm barely learning any of it now. I mean, this is going to be in the years to come, because my girlfriend, I think she wants to go into vet school and then might work with horses down the road. And if she does so, that could be a very good venture to be someone who's into research and vaccines and animals. Another lab I was looking at was in the gut microbiome, and they were looking at like diseases. And I was just like, oh my gosh, how awesome would it be to um, work on ulcerative colitis or
Mm.
Crohn's and get some help from the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, because I think they can help with like funding and research and such. And I'd love to like find a cure for it, and it would just be such a cool story, and also just to help all the people who suffer from it. Because when you have it, it's a blessing in a way because you learn to live with it and it teaches you a lot. And it's a different lifestyle from someone who just wakes up and just has a normal day and goes to sleep. But it would be nice to be able to have the ability to heal truly from it and to help those that are in pain. I think even like Mr. Beast. I don't know if you know who Mr. Beast is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's got Crohn's, and he was saying how he has to also get some infusions. I think he's on Remicade or whatever, but how he has to continue just nuking his immune system or however the
Mm.
infusion works every 2 months, and that he's just like shocked there's no cure for it, and then he'd probably like go look into it down the road, and if there's a good enough group of people that are like from all walks of life, not just scientists, they're
Yeah.
like, look, let's like figure this out, figuring out a cure to that, because like there's millions of people in the US with it every year. That's just the first step into, all right, we took care of this. What's the next thing we can look at? Like there's cancer out there. There's all kinds of diseases and illnesses maybe we could tackle down the roads. I don't know if it'll lead to that path, but I really do enjoy science, and I think I'd love to do something with it down the road. Molecular and cellular biology is just because that was like one of the programs I was looking at. Anything really with the body and brain, immune system, just fascinating. And the reason I'd like to is because I have a passion for it, but also when I was in Flagstaff just running, like it was just terrible. Like I would just focus on running all day, every day. And now I'm training and I have to go to work, and sometimes it's hard to, do the schedule, and I like sometimes wish I could like sleep or rest at certain points. But at the same time, it's just like my mind is like so occupied with work that I'm not like obsessed with the training. I'm not like, oh my gosh, I have to be like the best here. And I'm not getting obsessed with the brand or anything because I know I have purpose in other areas. Like I can be a scientist, I can be a runner, I can be a partner to my girlfriend, I can be like a son to my parents. So having that other thing is going to help. And my dad always said that. He said when I was in college, I'd be in school all day. And as soon as I'd get to go run, I'd be like a dog out of the cage with the zoomies. I'd be like, oh, I love this so much. But then when I was in Flagstaff, it's like you give a dog the ability to be outside all day. It's I could be inside,
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
just like a perspective thing too. And um, I don't know, something with that maybe down the road, and maybe eventually end up like on a farm. I really do love just like simple hard labor, like chopping trees, tending to like the outside animals, whatever. I don't know. But to have like some kind of passive income from something in science would be nice too, while
Yeah, yeah.
also contributing to the field, I guess.
Completely. Having some funding to chase the passions and like be out in
Yeah.
nature. Like it's only in recent years, my dad has a farm and I've actually started to appreciate it. I kind of ran away from all that work as a child. But as I've gotten older, I do see the real appreciation for just being out in nature and connecting with actual hard labor, which is, if he
Yeah.
heard me saying that now, he'd be like, yeah, you're full of shit. But,
It's
but,
true though. It's true.
yeah,
Like, I don't know why, but it's just like, I think it's like you see the progress. Like, if you need to clear this acre of whatever for trees, you have to chop it down. It's hard work. You're sweating. You can see yourself growing stronger. You're sore. And then after like a month, like you see it's clear and you're like, I did that. But
yeah,
like, I also worked at as a online job for a bank for a bit, and it was just like Excel sheets to make meetings and fill out forms, and I'm like, this is like nothing. This is like this is really like, what are we doing? We're meeting to have a meeting about a meeting.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
there's
God.
no progress here. There's not really anything happening, but like outside physical labor and nature, that's real change.
Completely. And I know a lot of my work now is on a laptop, but I try to get outside as much as possible. But I speak to
Yeah.
my friends who have different jobs like accountancy and stuff, and they're cracking up. They're like, I'm looking at Excel sheets all day and I just looking outside and seeing the sunshine. I can't go out to it. So definitely having a passive income to be able to enjoy nature and enjoy life, and not be just stuck at the screens the whole time is a beautiful thing. I myself was in Argentina only about 2 months ago, fell in love with the place. Absolutely. My Spanish is terrible. All I can say is lo siento, no hablo español. So
That's what I know too.
yeah, when I came back, I was like, I am learning Spanish. So I started back at the Duolingo, but I definitely need to learn it. I did a breathwork retreat last year, and the message that kept coming into my head was to learn Spanish, which was so like I never had an inkling to learn it before. So it's definitely something I want to dive into. But if I get a chance to go back to Argentina, I'll be jumping at it. A beautiful country, my God.
Where did you do the breathwork retreat?
In Ireland, here quite locally. So I've gone on two of them. Yeah,
I
there's a guy.
gotcha.
He was actually, I think, the fifth episode. A name called Ronan O'Brien. Very, very
Yeah,
intelligent
yeah.
guy. My God, he's been a great guide to me in my own path and my own journey in mental health and kind of understanding my own path, really and truly. Like, he doesn't tell you what to do. He just kind of, gives you a little few words here and there that might guide you down where you figure out the answers yourself. But really, really beautiful practice. Really, really beautiful. But yeah, going forward, I'd be absolutely buzzing to see what you can do, because it seems like there's a mold to be broken in the running space that you are no better man to do it. And definitely in the academic and professional side of things, yeah, like from your own lived experience and knowing the effect that your health journey has had on you, you have a very specific insight into how you can help other people by maybe figuring out something for them. So it's beautiful to hear, man. I have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed listening to you today. I could listen to you speak for hours.
I think you.
What a journey. But I just have one last question for you. And it's one that I love hearing off people, because I love hearing the different perspectives on what it actually means. But what does happiness mean to you?
Ooh, I think the meaning of it's probably changed in my life coming now from back then, and it'll probably change in the future as well. I think, but for now, happiness means I think it's almost like a background feeling. I think a lot of people like to do something that they feel like this rush of something in the moment. And I realized this when I was coming off of the prednisone, and again when I came off of the antidepressants way back in the day, that it was kind of like a period of after like I had made it through the tough bits and I was kind of feeling better. And I made sure to do like no caffeine, no drugs, nothing. I was just completely like sober, clear, which kind of sucks to just have to like, go through that for a bit. But like, oh my gosh, I got to a point where I think I was just like outside or near the window at night, and it was just like a slight breeze, and it just felt like this just stillness and this calm. I was like, "Oh my God, like this is joy." The joy is like it's kind of like nothing in a way, but it's just like it's like there doesn't need to be anything. And it was hard because even with that understanding of joy, I still go into like caffeine to listen to music and then feel like I get pumped up. But then it's just like I feel like you have to come down from that. And I think when I was in Flagstaff, I was chasing a lot of those like high moments, and a lot of pro people and probably anything, especially running, they have to have this caffeine and then this great workout and this great time and this great race and then all this attention on Instagram, and then they get all this like whatever, and like but that like I don't think that feeling is really joy, and I don't really know if maybe it's your definition of happiness in the moment, but being here now, I feel like happiness to me is just having goals in your mind and, putting effort towards them, putting work in towards them, and also kind of letting the idea of the goal go while putting the work you need towards the goal. And um, it's kind of like my relationship. Like I have a girlfriend and, we're going on steady like 4 years, and it's just like something I've been putting progress and work into, and it's just still here. And I believe we're gonna have a life and a family together. And then it's like the job. I've been putting work and effort, and it's like been up and down. I kind of have an idea of what I want to do. Not really. It's like kind of there, but I'm making progress towards I'm getting all these skills and these different people that I'm talking to. Also making progress in that area as well. And it's like in running, I have this goal of like the Olympics and everything, but it's not like a life or death thing. I really want to go, but I'm kind of letting it go, surrendering it to God. And I'm just progressing towards working out, training, strengthening, researching, looking at film if I need to, being on top of things. And so in each area, it's like I'm making progress, and it's like the day-to-day stuff gets so busy, you get so involved in things, and you don't have the time to sit and breathe, which, that breathing thing I really want to I want to talk about that as well. But you know, it's kind of like in the background. That to me is true happiness is because like I have purpose in things. Like I have training to go do, and I have like something I'm trying to go do with the training. I have work I need to go do, and I have something I'm trying to do with the work. I have a relationship I'm in, and I have a idea of what the relationship will be down the road. It's like I have purpose in things, and they're growing, and I'm like in the state of growth. And so the happiness is kind of like a background. I'm happy because I have things to do that I want to do that are happening. Even if they don't happen how they do, it's like I think if you follow like the path you're saying, and there's not like a lot of obstacles, and it's like things are trying to tell you to go that way, you can hope it's like Olympics or whatever, but in the end, I think it's just you're being called for that journey for some reason. Maybe it's to inspire someone, maybe it's to change someone's life, maybe it's for your own life, but like it's as long as you follow that calling, I feel like it feels good. And I feel happiness being here, but also just like taking time to take care of the body and the mind. And I think when you don't have a ton of obstacles to come over, it's so much easier to do that. Because in Flagstaff, I got to run with some of the best runners in the world. I think I was even in a shoe commercial. It's probably really quick, like a little flash of me, but still, I say I was it. But uh, I got free shoes and gear, but like at the end of the day, I enjoyed the people so much, and I hope they know that I love that team. I love all the people I met and the coaches, but like inside, I didn't feel happy there. I felt like I wasn't progressing, and I could physically see I wasn't progressing, and like my health state was bad mentally and physically, and so even though that looks so cool to some kids who might want to be like pro runners, and maybe that's their calling, but I wasn't happy. And again, I think it's because I wasn't being called for that. So I guess that's to me what happiness is. And joy is like an extreme of that where you're just like you're completely content in that moment, which is so hard to do in our world, right? I think, maybe there's something to it. Like we choose to go live stories and journeys. Like we're not just gonna sit and meditate all day, even though that's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe later in my life I'll do that. Like because we choose to have these journeys and stories, it creates change in the world. Like one of those big contraptions that like there's a little marble and it hits something and it does something else and it like has something that swings and hits. Our journeys like affect everything around us and our stories do too. And so even though like I really want to be just at peace and not have to like have any ups or downs, I think us being in this crazy world where there's so much to do or become, that choosing to be in that lifestyle is a good thing because it's creating like stories in the world.
Yeah.
And like I said, maybe there is time later down the road to meditate, but not now. Now's the time for just, I guess, living.
Yeah, no, 100%. What springs to mind for me is surrender, trust, and then I suppose prayer through action and offering. Offering your journey to other people and your experience to help guide them, and so we can educate each other. That's what I love about having this podcast. I have to say it's a privilege for me to be able to come on here and hear your story and speak to you, so I can learn from everything you've experienced. And then everyone else that can listen to it. So it's an amazing thing to be able to come on and share your story, even though it has been a hard run, but to be able to show the positives and the negatives and how it has brought you to the point where you're at. So I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your story, Diego. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I appreciate you doing this, getting those stories out into the world because it's one thing living them, but I think it's very powerful to be someone who can be someone who takes in the stories and spreads them out. I think that's a very important role to have as well.
Thank you very much. I feel like
Maybe
it's an
more
honor.
so than hairdressing, actually.
Yeah, we've parked the hairdressing for a while. I feel this is more of
Yeah.
a purpose for me than I'm hoping to change people's lives, not their hair,
Yeah, we can do both maybe.
We can do both. Diego, thank you so much for today. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Diego's story is just a reminder that sometimes the path we fight the hardest to stay on isn't actually the one that's meant for us. And we finally step back, reassess, and let go of who I suppose we think we need to be. We can find something far more meaningful. If this episode resonated with you, I'd really appreciate it if you could share it with someone. And as always, if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to follow the podcast, leave a rating, subscribe, drop a comment, let me know what you think. It really helps more people find these conversations. So thank you for listening. Thanks for being with me. And I'll see you next week for episode 28 with a famously talented photographer, Levi Walker. I'll see you then.